In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an animated split screen effect right inside of Adobe After Effects. So let's get into it. So once you're inside of Adobe After Effects and you've got a brand new composition created, you first want to begin by just dropping all of your media onto your composition. So in this example, I'm using photos, but of course you are more than welcome to use videos. The reason why I'm using photos in this example is because photos are less strenuous on the computer and it's not going to glitch as much when I'm doing the screen recording. So even though I'm doing this effect on images, it definitely still works on videos. So you can have a really awesome video split screen animation in After Effects. With that being said, let's move on. So to begin with, you first want to scale up or scale down all of your images to fill the screen. So you're just going to go one by one, pressing S, and just adjusting the scale of all of these. You want these to properly fit the screen. You don't want to make these too small, because if you make these too small, then they're just going to be low res later on. So you want to make sure these properly fit the screen. And there you go. Once you've done this to all of your images, you now want to turn these back on. We'll go up into Layer, New, and we'll create a brand new null object. Basically, a null object in Adobe After Effects is going to allow you to animate multiple different elements at the exact same time. So rather than trying to animate every single individual layer, you can affect everything with a null object. It's kind of like an adjustment layer for color grading and effects, but this is affecting your motion on everything. From here, we're going to drag that null object to the very top, so we know we can always find it at the top. We're just going to close down the scale on all of these objects. Then we're just going to highlight all of the images. Go to the pick whip tool on the right, the parent pick whip, select layer from which to inherit transforms. So we're going to select one of these and we're just going to drag that on top of the null object. So we're just going to let that go. And that means all of these images are now connected to the null object. So if I press S on my keyboard and I pull down the scale, then all of these are now affected. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to reduce the scale of these. We'll take that down to around 40%. And now we can go ahead and we can move all of our images where they need to be. So we'll go to our first image. We'll pull that over towards the right. Take the second image. We'll pull this down. Take this third image. We'll leave that there. Actually, that looks cool. So we're just going to lock that one there. Fourth image can go down there. The fifth image can be moved over here. And then image number 6, we're going to move over here. Now, if we just load up the transform tab by selecting the drop down arrow and going into transform, we can increase the scale a touch and we can adjust the position of this. If you need to make any corrections, now is your time to do so. So you go into each individual layer and scale it around, move it, do what you need to do. Now, once you're happy with the positioning of all of your images or your videos, you now want to go ahead and move on to the animation process. So first you want to figure out a route. So in my example, I'm going to start in the top left. I'm going to move to the right, then we'll move down and back to the left. So we're going to increase the scale on the null object. So we'll increase the scale so that this fills the screen. Go to around there, and then we'll pull the position over to the left. So there you go. We've got this perfectly sitting there now. So we're going to hold that for a second. So we'll move over to 1 second. We'll create a brand new keyframe on position. We'll go 2 seconds to the right and we'll pull the position all the way over to the right. And we're going to let that rest on that last video there. So if we play this back, we've got 1 second of the image there. Then it moves over. And then we finish on this image. Of course, if that's too fast for you, then all you have to do is just increase the gap between those two keyframes. So we'll just increase that gap. But if it's too slow for you, then all you have to do to speed it up is to decrease the gap between those two keyframes. But I like to keep this a little bit slower so we can see what we're cruising past. Now we're going to hold on that for 1 second. So we'll move over 1 second and create a brand new keyframe on position. Then we'll move down another 2 seconds and we'll pull the position of this down. Now we're just going to move over another second. We'll create a brand new keyframe on position so that it holds there for a second. Then we'll move 2 seconds to the right and we'll pull the position all the way back over to the left to reveal that last image in the sequence. So that now completes the movement. We've seen all of the images in this path. So from here, we're just going to select all of those keyframes that we just created. We'll right click, go to Keyframe Assistant and select Easy Ease. Now with this split screen animation, you're not only limited to the position, but you can also animate the scale and the rotation. So if you wanted to rotate and go to a video that was upside down, then you just rotate 180 degrees and carry on the movement. Or if you had a small video, you can zoom into it, you can zoom out to reveal a bigger video. It's completely up to you. Now, one problem that you might run into following this technique is by the time you get down to that bottom video, you might have missed the specific moment that you wanted to capture on screen. So in order to correct that, you just want to make sure that you can't see that video on screen during the early part of the animation. So let's say this image here, the one of me doing a handstand, let's say that's the vital one and we don't want to miss a specific moment from this. We'll pretend it's a video and there's an important moment coming up. So first of all, you just want to find that, and that is this layer here. You want to go back to a point where you can't see this. So that would be around here. And then we could just move the position of that all the way over to the right. And doing it that way, it means we're not going to miss a vital moment because we've pulled the position of the clip over. We can now see the important moment when this comes in. But by pushing this over to the right at the point where it just comes onto screen, it means it's not going to pop up. So let's push this even further to the right and we play this back. You can see if we did that there, it's now going to turn on. And of course, if you want, you can add motion blur to this because the null object is moving the position, scale, and rotation of all of these objects. They are moving, and this means they can have motion blur applied to them. And all you have to do to turn on the motion blur is hold Command A, that's Control A if you're on Windows. Select this motion blur button here, and make sure this motion blur button is blue. If it's grayed out, that means it's off. So just press it and it will turn blue and that means it's activated. Now turning on that motion blur is just going to add a little bit of extra something to the video and it's going to make the animation look really awesome. And there you go. That is how you make an animated split screen right inside of Adobe After Effects. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate your support and I will see you on the next video. See you there.